Well, 2023 is done as a year, or is it really? So now what? I want to take a few moments and see what has 2023 so far taught me, and what are the lessons that I've learned in this absolutely unique year. And I think what's really the most amazing thing is that 2022, I felt like a lot of people, a lot of my clients, a lot of my family members, it was a really tough year. There were many changes. I feel like people in general were on edge, and it created a lot of strains in relationships, employees. It was probably the hardest year that we had in business ever because of the employee turnover. You couldn't find talent, and it's the same excuses that we give. So 2023 roll about, and we didn't really like to talk about 2022 because it was such an emotional year, I felt like. And as entrepreneurs, many times we blame ourselves. Oh, what did we do, and all of that. And it doesn't have to do just with the numbers. It has to do with how do we feel that we succeeded at what we wanted to do, or how is the path to success paved. Did we do what we promised we're going to do? Did we accomplish what we promised ourselves we're going to accomplish? So that brought a lot of kind of self-awareness. And 2023 was almost like an awakening year. And I love to give names to things, and I love to give name to the year. And I did not give a name to 2023 at the beginning, which this is what I should have done. But we are here today. And since we're on this chat together, and I love to stay with you for just a few minutes, if you indulge me in this conversation, what have I learned? What have you learned this year? Let's have a conversation, like honestly, just what we have been through. And if we don't learn the lessons now, history gets to repeat itself over and over and over again. And we've experienced all these experiences that we had for no reason, because we're not learning the lessons. So let's see what we're learning, right? So that's the whole conversation today. I'm going to share with you 4 things that I have personally learned in 2023, and they were hard lessons. They were not easy for me to go through, but here we are. Hopefully we learned a lesson. And I wanted to share something. I typically don't like to say a lot of personal things. I don't like to share. I feel like I'm exposed. I just don't feel like I don't like to share things. I'm more of a private person. But I think this is helpful for you and I to sit in a conversation. I love to engage with you, because I'm not here to put my opinion upon you, or you to put your opinions upon me. It's for us to create a community and share. I think this is really where it's a heart-to-heart communication. Even if it's business, it doesn't have to be heartless. And I used to believe that business is heartless, and it doesn't have to be heartless. So without further ado, I'll jump into my first lesson that I've learned. As I mentioned, 2020 was a really hard year. And, I relied on people. We went through a lot of changes in the company. People came, people left. We had so many changes in employee turnover in 2022, which taught me the lesson that everybody is replaceable. So any one employee, and here's what I have learned. If I put my hope or my trust in one person in the business, or anybody, one or two, it doesn't matter how many people, if I put my trust in those people that they are irreplaceable, I already lost the game. Nobody is irreplaceable in business. The same way, if I, like, for example, even though I think I'm doing, I'm trying and I'm doing a good job, I love to do tax strategies to the best that I can, right? I try to bring everything on the table. Could I be replaced? Absolutely. Maybe you need 2 people, maybe you need 3 people to replace me, but I am replaceable, right? So one of the first lessons that I've learned is that everybody is replaceable. This has transpired into me focused more on systems and processes, because if everybody is replaceable, you've got to have a system in place to replace the people, right? It does not make sense. So when I got that, for me, it was like, oh, wow, I missed it. Like, I conceptually understood the concept and never got that It's, you don't have a system to do the thing that needs to be done. You have a system to replace the people that need to be replaced. You have a system to replace anybody at any point in time, which really, what it does, it brings you freedom, right? It brings freedom to you and I as an entrepreneur. So that was lesson number one. Lesson number two for me was, you are and I am irreplaceable in my family life. No matter how many hours, how many systems I put in place, no matter, I mean, listen, I can automate my kids to go to bed. I can automate a lot of things. Even if I roll them upstairs, roll them into their bed automatically, I can have automatically programmed a story to read to them. I can have automatic music to have them. I cannot create a system to replace me. I cannot create a system to replace what I can bring in the lives of the people around me. So with that in mind, it brought almost like another year, another like awakening moment that there's no system to replace the human person, right? In the family life. Because this is where you pour out your emotions. This is how you grow as a person. This is how I grow as a person. Without a family or a system of people around you that are close to you, there is no way you can develop correctly. Without community, we're dead, right? Now, it doesn't mean you have to have, 3 kids like I do. It doesn't mean you have to have the same size of family. You've got to have your people. You've got to have your tribe. You've got to have your community around you. And that doesn't mean social media. It doesn't mean the people that I meet once a month. It's the people that you do life with day in and day out. Because they're the people who know us the best. And if we don't pour out into them, we literally get drowned and we can't move forward. So it's almost like, the giver's journey. The more we pour into them, the more we grow. And it's something that we cannot replace. No one can come and replace us, right? You can say, well, you're not good enough. I got another spouse. And you might disagree with me on this. You can't replace, for example, I am the mother of my kids. I have 3 kids and no one can replace me. If I would no longer be here, I don't care how many women would come. None of them will be able to be me. So that leads me to be very present. Like if I am allocating 30 minutes to be with them, I'm going to be present 30 minutes with my kids. So that was a powerful lesson for me, that this is not something that I can replace, right? And it's not just that, it's not just the investment of time, is that some of these moments cannot be redeemed. There's no redemption of the time you have with the child, right? In business, you can redeem time. You can do other things. You can, things can be redeemed very easily. You buy a coach, you buy a system, you buy a process, an app, whatever the case might be. In our family lives, we cannot redeem the time lost, right? Especially with kids, because they grow up and it's a different story. They're different journeys that they go on. So that was a very powerful lesson for me, and it was hard for me to admit that I have to put in the time. I can't delegate. I can't hire out. An assistant can't do. A cleaning person cannot do. No one can do it. Nanny can't do it. Nobody, right? So we can, we are the only ones who can, put and feed these kids or feed the family as an environment, put the seeds in so we can, come later on and enjoy the fruits of our labor. So that was number 2. The third lesson that I have learned was, and this is probably one of the toughest one for me to talk about, was that I was really struggling with a lot of things. I would not move forward, or I would stop in the middle of different types of projects because of fear. And I realized that there's different types of fear, and I didn't realize how strong that fear was. And to assess what kind of fear was, that was a difficult project. So do you experience fear, right? That's my question. And what I learned is that almost everything that we do, even if it's something good or we something bad, like, hey, we're not fulfilling what we promised to ourselves that we do, is because of fear. And one of the strongest fears was like, fear of not being enough. What if you do this and it's not enough for the people that you love? What if you do this for a client, it's not enough, right? Your 100% might not be enough for what you're trying to accomplish. So that's a big fear. And so fear of not being enough, fear of just not being accepted or not being wanted or not being loved, right? And everybody talks about this. I'm not going to go all psychology on you, but, and you might not be, a Tony Robbins fan, but for the first time I decided to go and, to attend UPW and walk on fire. And that process was life-changing for me in the sense that I realized that fear was just in my head. It was just literally a story in my head. And although I've known all these years that this is just a story, I did not feel it in my entire body that this is just a story. And when I went through the whole thing, I realized that we create the story. And the same way I've created the story to, land in fear, I can recreate the same story to land in courage or to land in gratitude. And one of the most powerful lessons, or the most powerful takeaways from me for 2023 was I think it's the first time I experienced gratitude to a different level. That I was always like not content with, oh, this is not enough, I'm not far enough, I'm not big enough, I didn't grow, my goals, I think, were overly realistic every single year in every aspect of my life. And if I don't hit my goals, oh, this is not enough, it was not good enough, it was never good enough, and it's never going to be good enough. So to what point, right? And I am a type of person that has had a really tough time celebrating accomplishments of any kind, right? And there are many reasons for that. We're not going to go into the whole story, but what I want to share with you today is that once I understood gratitude, and gratitude is an attitude of the heart. It's not a mental. And I have a gratitude journal. Listen, I have a gratitude journal and I write. And some days are really good. Some days I'm just writing whatever I think I should be grateful for, and I write them. And in lieu of anything else, it's okay. Okay? So, but that's not what gratitude means. It's not writing in a journal, not saying the same thing over and over and over again, expecting it to create magic. Gratitude is an attitude of the heart that I am so grateful that I can walk when I have friends right now who can't walk. I am grateful to be able to be here with you, right? This is something that I have never dreamed being possible, or me being even courageous enough to show up on camera to talk to you, okay? So gratitude is really a complete attitude of changing the perspective of how we look at things. I'm not here because of me. It doesn't matter if my hair is not whatever it is. I'm here because I want to have a community. I want to be in community with you. Okay, so that was such an amazing shift for me and for my life that I feel like, how come I didn't get it all these years? So that's a question yet to be answered, but I am here today and I've learned the lesson. Last one, and I think many of you would relate with this, especially women. And not because I want to be a racist or whatever you want to call it. I really don't care. It's because women have this problem. So I'll give you an example, right? So if I have a friend knocking at my door, literally after my kids created a tornado in my house and everything is displaced, complete mess. I know I'm the only one who feels that. I'm the only one whose house goes through a tornado when kids come home from school or whatever happens, right? And they knock at my door. It doesn't matter what the reason. Sometimes they can bring you something. I can miss on the greatest gift that this person has given me, to give me their time to come knock at my door and spend time with me because my house is a mess at that time. So what I have learned is that my own standard of perfection and my own perfection-driven personality stops me from enjoying really what we have together. So now this video is not perfect. I am not a perfect person by any means. I don't know how to create this to perfection, but I want to be here, and I don't want my lack of perfection to stop us having a community, having a chat together. I want us to grow, and while this might not create a whole lot of, I don't know what it can create, but I want to be here for you and I to be together, right? To have a conversation, to have a chat, for us to be able to grow together. So really that's it. So my own standard was stopping me from creating joy and creating that sense of accomplishment that, hey, I am grateful. This person has done this for me. I have a client that comes in. I might not feel ready to do whatever the thing, but I want to give the time. And many times I am not fully present because it is not perfect, right? So that was the lesson for me, that the standard of perfection is a ridiculous standard. It's in my head. It has to go out. So it's going bye-bye. So really quick, because now we're way in on our time. Closing thoughts that I have. So I was trying to find the name, like I mentioned in the beginning, for the year, right? So how are we going to name the year? So I had many different choices that I was going to name the year. So the year was, and I put it right here. I don't want to forget. I put the name My Journey to Authenticity, right? I never really got what being authentic means. It's like I had all these people saying, "Oh, you're not being authentic. You're being this." It doesn't really matter. My authentic self means that I can show up fully with my mind and my heart, and being aligned and be who I really am with you, right? And it doesn't have to be enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything. It just has to come from a place of wanting the connection together. So my year was the journey to authenticity. I don't have a name for 2024 yet, but that's going to come in January. So that's my journey for 2023 and the lessons I've learned. What have you learned? What was your journey? What kind of experiences, created a shift in how you do things, how you view things? How are you going to do life going forward because the things that you've experienced? Please sit down and just journal these. And if you don't want to write down, just share. Send me a message. Do an audio. It doesn't really matter. If you don't want to write, just do an audio on your phone and just send it as a message. Or do whatever you want. Scribble. Share what was, one big shift that you've experienced in 2023. And let's grow together as a community, as a whole. So I wish you the happiest holidays. I know that it's almost done. Happy New Year from my heart to your heart. And I will see you in a great 2024. We'll take the first week off of January to make sure everybody, like we're doing strategic movements in the first week of January. And I'll see you the second week of January back here live. All the best, all the love to you and to all your families. Bye-bye.